Gotham City, sometime in 1986's future. Lightning crashes over a rain-soaked night, and two 13-year-old girls take refuge from the storm in an arcade long thought to be abandoned by anyone with sense. Both are aware of the risks and the rumors, that this is a refuge for the dominant local street gang, the Mutants, but the braver of the two spurs them on. No sooner than it was too late to turn back, the power goes, and from out of the darkness, danger comes. Before they knew it, the two teens are surrounded, and their fate seemed sealed. But fate had other plans, as this was the night that the Dark Knight returned, and was there to save them. Bearing witness to the return of a nearly forgotten hero, in that moment, something awakened inside of Carrie Kelley that would change her life forever. Neither of them knew it, but the third Robin had been born. Welcome back to BatFacts. For this episode, I'm continuing the Robins by talking about the third Robin, outside of official canon, but important as ever. The first female Robin, Carrie Kelley from The Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller's creation of Carrie Kelley for his seminal Dark Knight Returns was a groundbreaking moment in Batman history in and of itself. But the first female Robin wasn't without three important precursors. First was way back in 1941, in Detective Comics number 49, in an issue written by Batman creator Bill Finger and credited as penciled by Bob Kane. Bruce Wayne's fiancée, Julie Madison, calls off their engagement to pursue an acting career as Portia Storm, but returns at the end of the issue dressed in a Robin costume to help the dynamic duo in a clever ruse. This was the first time a woman dressed in a Robin costume. The next precursor to Carrie Kelley was the first two episodes of the 1966 Batman TV show, starring Adam West and Burt Ward. Known for showcasing celebrity guest stars as villains, this episode went against the grain and had its primary guest star, actress and future Bond girl Jill St. John, as the Riddler's henchwoman, Molly. Molly disguises herself as Robin in a failed attempt to trap Batman, and had the dubious distinction of being one of only three characters to ever die on the 60s television show.
I'm slipping! Oh, Batman!
Poor, deluded girl.
Though never appearing in a Robin costume, Molly is also said to be the inspiration for the O'Neil Adams-era character Molly Post, a championship skier who appeared in three Batman comics in the 1970s. While there was no direct correlation between Molly and Carrie, the visual similarities speak for themselves. The third and most direct precursor to Carrie Kelley's introduction came from a 1982 issue of the Comics Journal that published an illustration by indie comics illustrator Jamie Hernandez. The sketch shows his Love and Rockets character Maggie dressed in a Robin costume, with a speech bubble saying, "Don't you think I should have been a girl?" and several leering Batmen behind her, enthusiastically agreeing. This drawing can be traced directly to Carrie Kelley's origin. Frank Miller originally conceived of Dark Knight Returns over several years, while working on other projects such as Daredevil and Elektra Lives Again. One of Miller's favorite topics of discussion with his comic book industry contemporaries was various Batman ideas. One such writer was John Byrne. On an airplane in 1985, either headed to an Ohio comic convention or returning from a similar Atlanta event, depending on who's telling the story, Miller and Byrne began discussing ideas for Miller's upcoming Batman project. Robin must be a girl, Byrne urged Miller, mentioning the Hernandez drawing from years earlier and even providing his own sketch to illustrate the idea. I'd never intended to use Robin, but then, one day, I pictured a little bundle of bright colors leaping over buildings, dwarfed by a gray and black giant. And there she was, Robin, said Miller. Byrne said that the ideas that were not used for Carrie Kelley he would later put to use in his Radio Girl character. That same year, an issue of Comic Collector would debut Carrie Kelley to the world, with some preview sketches provided by Miller. Dark Knight Returns finds Bruce Wayne 10 years after having given up the Batman, due in part to the untimely death of Jason Todd, but his eventual and titular return is without a partner. Carrie's introduction came in Dark Knight Returns, the first of four prestige format comics that would later be collected under the same name. Her first scene, as described in this episode's intro, her and her friend Michelle are saved from the mutants by a newly returned Batman. From there, Carrie is inspired. She buys a Robin Halloween costume and begins patrolling the neighborhood to fight crime herself. That sets her apart from other Robins, as she's the first to take up the role of Robin independently, without Batman's permission or even knowledge. Though cunning and street smart, this former Girl Scout's initial outings are harrowing, sneaking past her emotionally absent parents to enforce justice on the seemingly uncaring Gotham streets. It isn't until she overhears two mutants discussing plans for a meeting that night at the dump that she's able to prove her worth to Batman himself, hitching a ride to the mutant meeting place just as Batman's tank-like Batmobile came on the scene with eyes for the mutant leader. Watching from a distance, Carrie witnesses her hero nearly fall to the mutant leader until she bounds into action to save him. Batman, delirious from blows to the head, is strangely unsurprised by the red, yellow, and green figure jumping in to save him, and in his confusion, thinks it's his old partner Dick Grayson. Jumping on the mutant leader's back and clawing at his eyes, Carrie gives Batman just enough time to subdue the mutant leader with utility belt trickery, or, from Batman's perspective, just enough time to bail out Dick. As Carrie drags a broken Batman onto the Batmobile, she ignores comlinked Alfred's pleas for her to run along.
Now run along home.
As the Batmobile autopilots back to the cave at Batman's behest. Batman asks her name, and she replies,
Carrie Kelley. Robin.
To which he replies, mine's Bruce, and their partnership is cemented. Because Carrie is Batman's first self-made Robin, her weapons and gadgets, such as slingshots and firecrackers, have a far more homemade and childlike quality, which speaks to the aspirational role that Robin has always fulfilled in Batman lore. As a character, Robin was essentially invented to be a role that younger readers could see themselves in, and to that end, Carrie's story is far more accessible, not only as the first girl to be a Robin, but the first non-orphan circus acrobat. Whereas Dick and Jason were victims of circumstance thrust into the role, Carrie literally just got her own costume and went out and started helping Batman. What younger reader couldn't see themselves doing the same? Her dialogue is littered with the kind of slang that she shares with other young characters in the story, namely mutant members Rob and Dawn. This slang, such as Billy in place of crazy, and many sentences beginning with figure, were co-written and edited by series colorist and Miller's then wife, Lynn Varley, who Miller credits with giving Carrie her true voice. The whole thing actually comes by way of Lynn Varley and her brothers. It was a way that they spoke in their neighborhood of Livonia, Michigan, explained Miller in a 2002 interview. As Miller intended, Carrie is a bundle of bright colors, contrasting Batman in both physicality and personality. Her age also serves as a reminder of the future that Batman is fighting to course correct. As their partnership progresses through the next two issues, Carrie fills many roles, from pilot to assistant surgeon, undercover informant to savior. And in a sense proves the practical reasons for why Batman needs a Robin, beyond juxtaposing a bright exuberance with his dark, grim nihilism. Though Batman clearly sees something in young Carrie and advocates for her to a skeptical Alfred, he still maintains a veneer of distant stoicism. Despite proving herself time and time again, Batman keeps her motivated with near constant threats of being fired from her newly found position as his sidekick. Undeterred by this, she becomes his greatest ally, but is strong-willed enough to also have an insubordinate streak. Like reprogramming the voice-controlled Batcopter against his wishes, and even calling his actions into question, like the role-reversing moment where Batman is about to face down Superman, and she bluntly asks, maybe it's time you told me the plan. I mean, are you gonna die or what? And taking a page from Carrie's lingo, Batman replies, figure I will. Despite Dark Knight Returns' reputation as one of the greatest Batman stories ever told, the story is not within DC Comics' official canon, but Carrie would make several other comic book appearances over the years. Her only within-continuity appearances happened during the twilight of the New 52 era. After the death of then-Robin Damian Wayne, more on him a few episodes down the road, she's found by a still-grieving Bruce Wayne to have been, unbeknownst to him, tutoring young Damian in acting. Her first appearance is cheekily wearing a Robin costume at a Halloween party. Carrie would also appear in the all-new Batman Brave and the Bold number 13, in an issue that brings together all previous Robins for an adventure, and a much more aloof version would appear in Batman and Robin Adventures number 6. A more somber cameo was part of Tom King's run, where Carrie appears alongside her Bat Family comrades at an elderly Bruce Wayne's deathbed, in the out-of-continuity Batman Annual number 2. She also makes brief cameos in Harley Quinn number 50, Tiny Titans number 33, and the one-shot World's Funnest by noted underground writer Evan Dorkin, drawn by Frank Miller himself. Lastly, with the release of Dark Knight: The Master Race in 2015 came dozens of variant covers from talents across the comic book industry celebrating their favorite moments from Dark Knight Returns. many of which prominently feature Carrie. Outside of the comics, Carrie's legacy would live on most notably in a pair of animated features in 2012 and 2013, where she's played by actress Ariel Winter. Carrie's first animated appearance came in the form of one of 3 storytellers in the New Batman Adventures anthology episode Legends of the Dark Knight, voiced by Andy McAfee, proclaiming,
First of all, Batman's real old, like about 50. And second, Robin's a girl.
Carrie would also appear in the Teen Titans Go episode, The Best Robin. And Carrie's influence lives on in some unexpected ways, such as clearly being the visual basis for the Lego Batman movie version of Dick Grayson, and this brief reference in an episode of Lego movie spinoff Unikitty. Although a popular fixture among the cosplay community, and actresses such as Ellen Page and Sophia Lillis being staples of hypothetical fan casts, Carrie Kelley has never been portrayed in a live-action film or TV show. Filmmaker Zack Snyder expressed an interest in including Carrie in his Batman v Superman film, leading many to speculate that the role would be played by actress Jenna Malone. But this never came to pass, and Malone's character, Jeanette Claiborne, was relegated to the director's cut of the film. So what does the future hold for Carrie Kelley? Well, in the comics, 2001's Dark Knight Strikes Again saw her transition personas into a roller skating Catgirl, although still very much an ally of Bruce Wayne. When we next caught up with Carrie in 2015, she was a new version of Batgirl, but by the end of the story, had renamed herself Batwoman, and Batman had accepted her as an equal, not just a sidekick, as her fight continues into adulthood. Including her most recent adventure, 2019's Dark Knight Returns: The Golden Child, written by Miller with gorgeous art by Brazilian artist Rafael Grampa. So that's Carrie Kelley, my personal favorite Robin, and a Robin that, despite being out of continuity, made a lasting impact on the role of Robin and the character of Batman. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it with a friend who likes Batman, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'm on Instagram as BatFacts Videos, where I post Batman news, collection pics, and episode updates. And stay tuned for our next episode, where I'm talking about the Court of Owls with a very special guest star. Some Bat time, same Bat channel. Thanks for watching.